All achievement begins with belief. Belief in yourself before the world can see your worth. The man who wins is not the one who was handed the best cards. It's the one who played his hand with complete certainty. You cannot wait for applause before you move. You cannot wait for others to recognize your value before you act like you matter. You have to believe in your mission when no one else sees it. That belief is what starts the engine of success. Not luck, not talent, but a deep, unshakable decision to trust yourself when nothing around you looks promising. Think about every great man you admire. He was ridiculed, doubted, dismissed, but he kept going. Why? Because he had one thing most people never develop: faith in himself. That kind of belief is rare because it requires strength when you have no proof, movement when there is no path, and conviction when the results are invisible. Most people need evidence to act, but the ones who rise, they act and then create the evidence. They don't ask the world for permission. They act as if success is already theirs, and that mindset changes everything. Fear of failure is a mental prison that robs you of the courage to begin. It dresses itself as logic, caution, or planning, but underneath, it's fear. And fear kills more dreams than failure ever could. Most people never even start. They stay in a loop of what-ifs, constantly building worst-case scenarios in their minds. But those are illusions, stories that keep them stuck. Because the truth is, failure is a part of the process. You don't get strong without resistance. You don't become wise without mistakes. And you don't become successful without falling down more times than you stand up. Fear tells you to play it safe, to avoid embarrassment, to protect your ego. But greatness doesn't live in safety. It lives in risk. It lives in the moments when you do it scared, when you move forward, even when your knees shake. The man who fears failure stays trapped. He overthinks, underacts, and watches life pass him by. But the man who has faith in himself keeps pushing, even if he stumbles, because he understands that failure is not the enemy. Fear is. You cannot outrun fear. You must override it. And the only way to do that is to build a mind stronger than doubt. A mind that says, even if I fall, I will rise better. Even if I lose, I will learn. Even if they laugh, I will lead. That's the mindset that builds empires. That's the mindset that takes a man from forgotten to unstoppable. Not because he never failed, but because he refused to let fear define him. He believed in his ability to rise again and again, until rising became his nature. Self-faith transforms obstacles into stepping stones, while doubt turns them into excuses. The same challenge can either build you or break you. It all depends on the story you tell yourself. When a man is rooted in belief, every failure becomes a lesson, every delay becomes preparation, and every setback becomes redirection. But when a man doubts his worth, every small hurdle becomes a mountain, every no becomes rejection, and every slow result becomes a reason to quit. The difference between those who rise and those who run is not what they face, it's how they face it. And how they face it always starts in the mind. Life does not spare anyone, it tests everyone. The successful are not those who avoid the tests, they are the ones who pass them through persistence. But that persistence is powered by belief, because no man continues on a path he doesn't believe is leading somewhere. If you don't believe in your own climb, you won't keep walking. That's why faith in yourself is more valuable than any external validation. It becomes your fire when results are silent. It becomes your light when the path is dark. Without that inner conviction, you'll quit the moment things get uncertain, and things will get uncertain. That's guaranteed. You cannot build a strong future on a foundation of self-doubt. Doubt is like a crack in the base of your vision. It might not show at first, but over time it will collapse everything. A man full of doubt hesitates. He second-guesses. He delays action and seeks comfort in the opinions of others. But the truth is, no one is coming to reinforce your belief. No one will push you daily if you don't push yourself. When you build your future on doubt, you're building on sand, fragile, unstable, and destined to sink. But when belief becomes your foundation, your future becomes a fortress. You start taking risks not because they're safe, but because you trust your ability to handle what happens. You step into rooms not because you have all the answers, but because you know you can figure them out. You show up again and again, not because life is easy, but because you've made a decision to stand firm, no matter how long it takes. That kind of confidence can't be taught. It has to be built, and it's only built in the face of resistance. You were not meant to tiptoe through life. You were meant to carve out a place that reflects your vision, your values, your voice. But that carving will never happen if you keep questioning your own hands. You must look in the mirror and decide that no matter what happens, you will back yourself. You will stand behind your decisions. You will trust your capacity to grow through everything life throws your way. That's what separates those who merely survive from those who rise and dominate. It starts inside, with faith, with clarity, with conviction. Every successful man has failed more times than most people have even tried. That's the hidden truth no one posts about, no one celebrates. But it's the foundation of every great story. Behind every win is a long trail of losses, mistakes, and moments where quitting felt easier than continuing. The difference is that the successful didn't stop when they failed. They failed forward. They turned every misstep into a stepping stone, every embarrassment into education. They weren't afraid to be seen losing, because they knew that losing in public is still better than hiding in private. You don't rise by avoiding failure. You rise by using it. Failure is not final unless you accept it. It's not the enemy, it's the doorway. Most people never reach the level they dream of, not because they lack skill, but because they lack the courage to fail in front of others. They're so afraid of judgment, of being called out, of not looking perfect, that they choose safety over growth. But the real winners, they lean into discomfort. They take the shot knowing they might miss, because missing is part of mastery. They don't need everything to be perfect. They just need to stay in the game long enough to win. Defeat is only temporary to the man who trusts his inner power more than outer conditions. Life is unpredictable. Things go wrong. People betray you. Plans fall apart. But when your strength is built internally, when your confidence isn't based on things going right, but on your ability to rise no matter what, you become unstoppable. The environment may shift, but your foundation holds. That's what separates the powerful from the passive. The powerful don't rely on everything being perfect. They rely on being prepared, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, for whatever comes next. External circumstances will always change. Some days you'll feel supported. Others you'll feel isolated. But if your drive is only strong, when conditions are ideal, you'll collapse at the first storm. The man who survives the storm is the one who built his faith when the skies were clear. He trained himself to stand firm, not when it was easy, but when it was necessary. His belief is not based on applause. It's not shaken by silence. It's rooted deep inside, built from hours of effort no one saw, from nights of planning no one applauded, from failures that would have broken a weaker man. You cannot buy this kind of strength. It's forged through decisions that require grit, through moments where you choose progress over pride, through every time you fall and say, let's go again. The man who trusts himself doesn't need the world to go easy on him. He's already made peace with the fact that it won't. But he knows this. No matter how hard it gets, how dark it looks, how far the finish line seems, he will not fold, because his power isn't borrowed from others. It's built, earned, and protected by one thing: unshakable belief in his ability to rise. The mind attracts whatever it holds most, fear or faith. The choice is yours, every day without realizing it. You're programming your future with the thoughts you allow to dominate your mind. If you constantly feed yourself images of failure, stories of defeat, and beliefs about your own limitations, you begin to expect loss before you even try. That expectation becomes reality, not because the world is against you, but because you are already against yourself. The mind is the most powerful magnet in existence. Whatever you believe, dwell on, obsess over. It finds a way to appear in your life. That's not magic. That's mindset. Most people don't fail because of lack of resources. They fail because they've already imagined failure so many times in their head that it becomes familiar. It becomes normal. They don't chase greatness because they're too loyal to the fears they've nurtured for years. But fear is nothing more than repeated thought patterns, and those patterns can be rewritten. You can choose new thoughts. You can choose belief. You can choose faith. But that choice must be made daily. It's not enough to think big once. You must build a mind that lives there, that rejects fear like a virus, and only allows thoughts that align with growth, power, and victory. Confidence is not arrogance. It is the disciplined certainty that you will rise, no matter what. Arrogance is hollow noise. It's about pretending. Confidence is different. It's quiet, internal, and built through evidence. The man who is confident has shown up for himself too many times to doubt his ability. Now, he has failed, yes, but he's also endured. He knows that when pressure comes, he doesn't run. He adjusts. He fights. He adapts. That certainty doesn't need to be shouted. It's recognized in how he moves, how he speaks, and how he responds to adversity. True confidence isn't about having all the answers. It's about knowing that you will find them. It's about having a calm mind in chaos, because you've trained it to stay focused. Confidence comes from preparation, from consistency, from pushing when most would quit. It comes from choosing progress over perfection. The confident man is not the one who never doubts. He's the one who acts anyway. He doesn't need approval. He doesn't seek permission. His power comes from doing the work, when no one's watching, and holding the line when everything tells him to quit. If your mind is constantly rehearsing defeat, your life will follow. But if your mind is trained to seek solutions, to believe in your capacity, and to expect growth, your environment begins to shift. Life responds to belief. It mirrors what you hold inside. You don't need fake positivity. You need real faith, the kind that's built through challenge, through repetition, through choosing courage when fear would be easier. That's the mindset that builds leaders, visionaries, and warriors. Not men who wish for easier paths, but men who believe in their ability to conquer the one they're on. The man who believes in himself cannot be stopped, only delayed. That's not just a motivational phrase. It's a truth proven by history again and again. Every man who ever achieved greatness faced delays, obstacles, detours that could have broken a weaker mind. But the difference is, he didn't stop. He may have paused, may have fallen, may have questioned everything for a moment, but quitting was never an option. When you have real belief in yourself, setbacks don't scare you, because you don't see them as signs to stop, but signals to adapt. That kind of mindset makes you dangerous in the best way. Not reckless, not arrogant, but relentless. You see, most people give up not because the journey is too hard, but because they never believed they could make it from the start. They walked into the game already doubting the win. So the moment life punched back, they folded. But a man with self-belief keeps moving forward even when the score looks impossible. He understands that success doesn't follow a straight line. It bends, breaks, and rebuilds. It's not always about moving fast. Sometimes it's about moving anyway. That unshakable willpower is what makes him unstoppable. Because delay is not defeat unless you let it be. Faith in yourself is the root of persistence, the mother of discipline, and the fuel of greatness. Without it, you won't last. You won't stay focused when it's hard. You won't get up at 5 a.m. when you're tired. You won't say no to distractions when no one's watching. But when you believe in your mission, when you believe that you are called to something bigger, you'll do the hard things like they're normal. You'll treat sacrifice like an investment. You'll stop needing to be motivated, because your belief becomes the engine that keeps you moving. Discipline doesn't come from books or lectures. It comes from a reason, and your reason must be stronger than your excuses. That reason is born out of faith. Faith that your work matters, that your actions are building something even if you can't see it yet, that every painful rep, every quiet hour, Every lonely step forward is stacking up in your favor. That belief builds resilience, and resilience builds discipline. You stop negotiating with your emotions, and you start operating from principles. That's the turning point. When you stop acting based on how you feel, and start acting based on what you believe. When you move like that, you don't need external validation. You don't need a crowd to cheer you on. You've already decided the outcome, and that internal commitment begins to shape the world around you. People start to see you differently. Opportunities open, not because of luck, but because you built the habits, the mindset, the energy that attracts them. And that's how greatness works. It doesn't announce itself. It's built in silence and revealed through consistency. That's what separates the ones who try from the ones who conquer.